Wasn't that easy. So it was about 3 months of going, banging on, asking for work around town, that I got my first job with Dinwiddie Construction, working at the Crocker Galleria. Women were very isolated. At the time, we were 2% of the construction workforce, and one of my greatest disappointments is that here we are in 2016 and women are 2% of the construction workforce. And we thought, we were building a movement and we would be increasing in numbers. The same training as men, because they weren't taken seriously that they were going to stick with the trade. But sometimes they were we were put in dangerous situations. It was hard to find work. I didn't realize it at the time, but Executive Order 11246 had passed, I don't know what year that, which required that any project that had federal money had a goal of 6.9% women. And there was, I think, affirmative action associated with state and city funding also, which Prop 209 did away with. So there was an opening for women and people of color that hadn't been. So as a woman, a lot of work opportunities were on jobs that had some government funding. And the idea was that it was in the hopes that we would get the training we needed and be able to compete fairly for jobs as a skilled tradesperson. There were great guys that I worked with, and I loved working with the tools. I loved every day. There were injuries, and maybe it's rose-colored glasses looking backwards, but I never found the work boring. It was physically challenging. I loved that. At the end of the day, I was exhausted, but had a sense of accomplishment. When I was an apprentice, one time I got to work with a woman journey person.
Name?
Her name is Pat Cull.
Mm-hmm.
We're still friends.
Mm-hmm.
CULL. She was a member of Local 483. And I remember that she was very demanding. Not demanding, but she had high expectations about the quality of the work, and she taught me a lot. Remembering the project, it was we were framing an affordable housing complex, and it was a framing contractor from a subcontractor named John Thomas, and I think more so there was a culture in wood framing that it was more macho than other parts of the trade, and you'd see less women framing. Very unusual. So, but this must have had an affirmative action goal. But I remember, my foreman saying something derogatory about women, and I can't remember now what it was, but there was more than one comment. And then they laid me off. I was working hard. I thought things were going okay, and I got laid off, and then they hired somebody else. So I filed a grievance and somebody from the redevelopment agency who was like enforcing the affirmative action goal came with me to the grievance. And Jim O'Sullivan, we get to the grievance and he says, I'm going to let you argue your own grievance. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, like, is he not used to doing this? You know, so anyway, so I had read the contract provision, but you know, I'm a young 20-something, new to all this. I've never been to a grievance procedure. Anyway, I remember John Thomas had his wife there, and she said, we couldn't possibly discriminate against women. You know, this company is part owned by a woman. Whatever, I won the grievance, and I think I got a week's back pay or something.
Yeah.
But I didn't get reinstated, which was,
I
felt like I could hold my own on a job site, yeah. I worked hard at it. Tried to get as broad training as I could, sort of an old-fashioned, the way they would tell you, what they would tell you to do in apprenticeship school at the time. So I was always learning, but by the time I turned out, I felt like I could hold my own on a job site.